My brother had been to Aurora, and Joyce Erickson, who became his wife, was an Aurora graduate. So I had known a lot about Aurora, though I had never been there. And one day, Dr. Stevens, T.P. Stevens, who was the president of Aurora, came to visit us. My father had met him at some meeting previously, and this absolutely lovely man and my dad had bonded, and he spent the afternoon with us, and he was talking about Aurora, and he said to me, "Betty, I think you'd be a perfect fit in Illinois." And, I changed my mind and started the application procedure for Aurora, and have never regretted it.
I had my life planned after high school, and I was going into the service. Then, by the use of the GI Bill, since I had no money, I would go to college. My mother, whose uncle had gone to Aurora College, and she always talked about Aurora, said, "Please, why don't you try to go there?" So I wrote and said, "How about offering me a refresher course before I go to a big university in the fall?" And I immediately heard, "You don't need a refresher course. Why don't you come out and try us, and we can start in March?" So I did. Spent 2 years with the Marines, with a lot of different kind of people, and with a lot of different moral standards, but with responsibility and knowing you had to do what you had to do and you had to do it right. But when I came to Aurora, it was a completely different atmosphere, of course. But it showed me, with the professors that I admired and the other students that I admired, were the kind of people who I wanted to be. We had an economics professor, and I just recall her as Dr. Sommers. She was from Austria, and she appeared one quarter. I suppose if I met her today, I would say, "Hello, young lady," but back then she was ancient, and she taught with her accent. And one of the early days, she was enthralled with the idea of all of these veterans coming back to school. She said, "Will all the veterans in my class please raise their hands?" I was in the front row, and I raised my hand. She looked at me and said, "You must be a veteran of the cradle."
That was one of the wonderful things about Aurora. You really got to know faculty at the time that it was so tiny. And they got to know you, which was a mixed blessing at times. I think Aurora, certainly as well as my family, gave me a real sense of responsibility. That I had a responsibility not only to myself to grow in faith and in living skills, but for other people. And I think I can thank Aurora for really helping me to go on with my education and with the work that I did with young people as being important, that it's important to transmit our values. And Aurora is a university where values are important. And I am really impressed, and I hope it continues, that the new Wackerland Center, which I perceive as having an emphasis on character and faith, and I'm really interested in its future, and because it ties in with community service. It ties in with Aurora caring about other people and Aurora graduates caring about other people. And I see that as a wonderful thing to be doing at Aurora right now with a great future. I want that to really continue and to get stronger and stronger.